How's it going, everybody? This is Dan Cohen, Uncaptured Media. It is Tuesday, June 16th, 6:32 p.m. here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, and my little home studio where I'm broadcasting from. You are listening to Jimmy Smith's Root Down. Maybe if you're, I don't know, my generation, you might know that song from, you might recognize that as the sample on the Beastie Boys song, Root Down, but it's the original. But, alright, we got some stuff to talk about. I did go to the UFC event at the White House. I didn't get in, of course, but I did go to the street. I went to the street. I don't know, I didn't see any other independent journalists there. It was kind of fascinating, if that's a real thing. It just, that just really proves my point that independent journalism is a myth in America today, because people are just caught up on national security narratives that you just see all over social media, and they don't think to go, I don't know, see who's actually going to that event, try to analyze it, see what it means about our country, about what's going on, and that's what I'm trying to do is do something original, do something unique after years of being in the podcast social media arena, following the narratives unwittingly and regurgitating them for my audience, and I'd like to think that I've broken away from that I've uncaptured myself from that, if you will. But that's an ongoing process, and any journalist or analyst or anyone presenting information to you who's not taking in new information and growing and changing and learning and evolving, they're not real. That's it just means they're stuck on a script, and maybe they're a witting scripted actor, and maybe they're not. it's just hard to tell sometimes, but sometimes it's not hard to tell. And there are many scripted actors. And I'm going to be talking about, I don't know, 1 or 2 or 3 of them here. So thanks a lot for joining. I try to check the YouTube comments. I have them off to my right here, but I'll do my best to interact there. Super chats, I don't even know if that's available. If people can send super chats, those are appreciated. This is a one-man show. I'm doing everything, and I'm not paid by anybody to do this. I have I don't seek money from journalism anymore, and that's part of the sort of liberation that I've put myself through, because if you do this for a profession, then it ends up creating a conflict of interest that you have to seek out others to go on their show and go on their podcast and rub elbows with, and you have to be part of some kind of group so people will retweet you and post your material, and you just get sucked in and you don't even know it. And what ends up happening is you become part of this media class, and because your livelihood depends on it, it becomes almost impossible to escape. That's why I don't know of a single other journalist who has come to this conclusion, and I've come to this conclusion in large part through examining the work of 2 guys. One of them is Jonathan Cooey, who has a website called Gigaome Biological, and I think Jonathan Cooey is the one of the foremost voices presenting a new analysis of a variety of things. First and foremost, he's a biologist, and that's really where he excels. But he's also he also gives I would say groundbreaking media analysis, so people can really see what are the lies, how does this whole media machine operate, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to do too. So I really think you should check out Jonathan Cooey's his site, Gigaome Biological. He's frequently streaming there, and they're long streams, and they're not always easy to watch and not always easy to understand, but if you can make a commitment to that, to watching that, and opening your mind, then I think you can really get somewhere. And we need more people. We need more journalists, more people who are hungry for the truth, who are hungry to seek truth, who want to seek truth, to do that. And then the other guy whose work has had a major impact on me, again, I talk about this a lot, is Mark Kulak of Houstonic.live, and that's his site on the right. So some of what you'll be seeing, really Mark's work provided the kind of key that turned the lock for me and allowed me to sort of go this way, even though I don't actually have any relationship with either of them, and I think they have some, I'm certain they have some skepticism of me, because I don't know, because of my association with the podcast world before, when I worked for Redacted, for example, which I think is a prime example. That show Redacted, which is all over YouTube and Rumble, is a prime example of the sort of the narrative control, the mass media that is actually attacking America, and that's the title of this broadcast is America is under attack by mass media. The UFC White House fight is proof. So that's a big claim, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of take you through that, so you can really and we'll see if you agree with me by the end of this. So thanks again. Thank you for joining. So I went to, as I said, the White House UFC Freedom 250 event on over the weekend, and I didn't go into the event. I didn't have tickets. It's not something that really interests me. And I have no idea. Tickets were probably quite expensive. All I did was just go to the street in the limited little time that I had. I got away for a couple of hours from my house here in Washington, D.C. to be able to do that. And I just took my camera into the street. And I'm going to show you the video, just some raw footage that I've compiled, interviews on the street, so you can get a sense of who was actually there, because I don't think either the pro-Trump or anti-Trump or Republican or Democrat affiliated media, if there is such a thing, is telling the truth about what was the significance of that event, who went to it, what kind of people went to it. So I'm going to try to, I did some journalism. Imagine that. Imagine people doing journalism. It's not something people do anymore. Notice that people who you might consider good or great journalists mostly just podcast now. There's like no investigations, and they're kind of all on the same script, but nobody's really producing any actual journalism. Like nobody goes out in the street. What happened to that? It's just everyone sits behind a desk like this. And so I want to make sure that if I'm telling you that I'm a journalist, that I'm actually doing journalism. I'm not saying it's impossible to only do journalism from your desk. There's all kinds of information out there, and with the internet, of course, and a lot of that I do and I rely on, but I think there's still a big value to getting out in the street, doing traditional journalism, if you will. And so my view of this White House event is that it's really just sort of the latest episode of the Donald Trump show. And I don't mean that in a pro-Trump or anti-Trump way. What I'm saying is that Donald Trump is just a wedge of the ruling class to divide Americans, to turn Americans against each other, to turn American friends and families against each other. If you think about what's happened over the last decade, our social fabric is very much being frayed. On one hand, if you are conservative leaning, if you're right wing leaning, then allegedly conservative media would have you believe that Donald Trump is some kind of, or was some kind of savior figure who's going to take down the Clinton machine and expose all the corruption and maybe even lock her up, or some version of that. And he's just sticking it to the billionaire class that he used to belong to. He's a class traitor. And that many people believe that, but to the other, I'm not going to say half, to the other portion of the country, the counter narrative to that is that Donald Trump is a total clown who is a humiliation to America and everything it holds dear, and has no respect for the norms and values that actually make America great. And he's, I don't know, maybe a pervert, maybe a pedophile, somewhere in there. He's the most corrupt threat to democracy ever. And so I'm gonna say that my position is that both of those narratives are nonsense, and that they're totally compatible. And as long as America is stuck in that trap of having real feelings one way or the other about this image of Donald Trump, then we're in the trap. Because Donald Trump in reality is just a creation of media, and all the assumptions that come along with that. Like left-wing people like me believed, or many, almost all still do, believe that Donald Trump is actually instinctually anti-war. He doesn't want to get into interventions, but he just gets dragged into it every time by Netanyahu or by Miriam Adelson or something like that. Despite this is the second term that he's had anti-war rhetoric and then just gets into wars. Like, if you fell for it the first time, okay, but if you're supposed to be some kind of journalist and you fell for it again, you still believe that, then you're just on a script. That's it. You're just falling for the national security narrative. Or maybe you're part of it. Maybe you're a witting part of it. And so Donald Trump is a creation of the media, and the easiest of not just the media, but of the elite class. He is not a class traitor. He is essentially an illusion made for the plebes to project their fears and fantasies about what change could mean in this country. But behind this theater, there are real things taking place that just don't get talked about. So I just want to do my best to show the proof of what I'm saying, to demonstrate this through what I'm saying through this stream. And I think the easiest way to see that, there are many ways to see that, but the easiest way to see that is through his relationship with Ari Emanuel. Now, let me just pull up here there we go. His relationship with Ari Emanuel. I hate to go to Twitter, but I just found that image there. Donald Trump's relationship with Ari Emanuel. Now, some people might know that. Am I there? I am there. Ari Emanuel is the owner of the UFC. He's also the owner of WWE. His company, of which he is the CEO, TKO Holdings, owns the UFC and the WWE. He is also the most powerful agent. He's reported to be. He is portrayed as the most powerful agent in Hollywood, the top agent in Hollywood, period. And it's been that way for almost 20 years. And his talent agency, the WME Group, the William Morris Endeavor Group, as its latest rebrand, has an incredible reach in terms of talent in music and film and fashion and cooking. And if you're consuming mass media on a daily basis, you are unwittingly consuming the products of Ari Emanuel. Now, here you can see Ari Emanuel at the UFC Freedom 250 event with Donald Trump himself. And in fact, Ari Emanuel represented Donald Trump, or at least this is according to reports. Ari Emanuel represented Donald Trump in his negotiations for the Celebrity Apprentice show with NBC, in which Ari Emanuel's longtime friend Jeff Zucker cast Donald Trump. Ari Emanuel is also represents Joe Rogan, for example, the comedian podcaster who endorsed Donald Trump right before on the night of the ladest presidential election, for example. It would take me an hour to go through the breadth of Ari Emanuel's media empire. And Ari Emanuel does not. He comes from Democratic Party royalty. His brother, he has two brothers. One of them is Rahm Emanuel, who is who worked in the Clinton White House, was a top advisor to Bill Clinton, was instrumental in crafting NAFTA, for example, which of course was part of the gutting of the industrial base of the United States. He worked in the Obama White House as Obama's chief of staff. He was the 2-time mayor of Chicago. He is a 3-time member of Congress, and he was the Biden administration ambassador to Japan. That is this man's brother, Rahm Emanuel, with with the brother of Ari Emanuel, with whom Trump is shaking hands there. And that just kind of, and there's also the other brother, Ezekiel Emanuel, who is one of the most, I don't even want to say influential doctors in the country, but is portrayed that way, whether he really is or isn't. He's an oncologist and a bioethicist, and his profile, his bio says that he's the most frequently quoted bioethicist in history, something like that. So influential or made to be important in politics and media. And so these three people, Ari Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel, and Ezekiel Emanuel, all have very close ties to Donald Trump. And so you see this clear overlap between the DNC Emanuel family from the Chicago machine that, of course, produced Barack Obama, and Donald Trump himself. And so I argue that Donald Trump, the idea of Donald Trump as a conservative, populist billionaire, is basically a creation of this DNC media apparatus. And Donald Trump himself, we don't know what Donald Trump really thinks. We know what the image of Donald Trump is supposed to be. But I don't think Donald Trump is actually, he's definitely not a conservative. He's definitely not a family man. He is definitely not someone who believes in some kind of traditional family values, family, and these kinds of things. He's just a sleazy billionaire who is really good. He's pretty good at improvising. That's the whole thing. That's Donald Trump's, superpowers. He's good at improvising, and he's entertaining. So that's pretty much it. And through the Trump presidency, Ari Emanuel has maintained, of course, that connection to Donald Trump. I don't even need to go through this. Here's some information on their long term. Okay, and so what I think is that this White House UFC fight was designed to be as big of a spectacle as possible in order to polarize public opinion. And that's been, the President Trump story from the start. If you think about what's happened in the last 10 years, again, how many families have split up, how family members don't talk to each other. We've been encouraged to denounce each other for falling for one side or the other. And I think that's, this UFC fight is just a perfect example of it. For some, it's like, this is America, this is great, this is really fun, I love UFC. Not me personally, but, when you look at this, and then there are some people who are just, disgusted by the whole thing, who think this is such an incredible spectacle in the worst way possible that it's just embarrassing and insulting to America. That's the kind of public opinion. You see, just the fact that Dana White is coming out of the Oval Office there, he doesn't even have a tie on. I don't care, but in terms of like decor and these kinds of things, people are very, very disgusted and disturbed by the whole thing. So, and I think this whole thing is part of it. Like, the day before the fight, we had Donald Trump's name being removed from the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, which is a great Washington institution. And so Trump sticking his name, as he's alive, on the Kennedy Center is totally absurd that it's like laughable. But for a lot of DC liberals and it's like unthinkable. It's he's soiling this beautiful place. That's how it's interpreted. This center of culture and theater and music, where you can go see high culture. You can take your children to see music and theater, these kinds of things. So the idea that they're going to stick Trump's name on it. It's like he's supposed to smear everything he touches. It's like the opposite. For some people, he's King Midas. Everything he touches turns to gold. And for others, it's the exact opposite. It's everything he touches is disgusting. It's foul. That's the whole thing. So this was the day before. I wish I could have gone to this, but I couldn't go to that. And at the same time, you have the Lincoln reflecting pool. And look at the coverage from this. Trump reportedly ordered the reflecting pool to be redone in a different color. So watch this. There is a great... Oh, let me put the volume up. Not that. Guess the music is still on. All right.
Proverb, I'm sure you've heard some version of it. What is done in darkness will always be brought to light, as in the truth always wins out. Which it does. It just usually takes a little longer than a few days. But not for Donald Trump's newly renovated reflecting pool, finished just over a week ago. What was briefly a chlorine blue swimming pool, American flag blue, as Trump put it, is now, quote, puke green.
So do you see what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? That, like, everything that's, I don't know, that liberals hold sacred in Washington, Donald Trump is soiling, is ruining, and it just drives them crazy. And here is this is NBC, right? I can't remember. I think this is an NBC channel, is laying it on like, oh, it's puke green. They want to make this as inflammatory as possible, as offensive as possible, that this didn't work. And now the beautiful Lincoln reflecting pool, which has so much history behind it, and is now just a puddle of puke green. That's the whole thing. And so it's humiliation to America. And that's what Ari Emanuel is doing. And Ari Emanuel is someone who's very out front. He's very forward. He's in the media. He has a podcast. And there's a reason that he is out front, that he has a podcast, and he's all over the place, and he's seen, and he does a lot of interviews and appears on all kinds of panels. And I think it's because Ari Emanuel is just a tool. Real power does not want to be seen. Real power does not want to be seen. The power structure is supposed to be invisible. The puppets, the people who are out front, are not making decisions. Donald Trump is not making real decisions. Ari Emanuel is not making the real big decisions. He is executing an agenda, a preconceived agenda that was planned long, long ago. And it supersedes any decision that any U.S. president makes, because the president changes every 4 years. The agenda does not change every 4 years. And I want people to understand that this agenda, the agenda that's being executed behind this theater and this Ari Emanuel and Donald Trump show that we're seeing now, is long term. Now we can just look back at, for example, here's Ari Emanuel with Harvey Weinstein in 2004 at the premiere of Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael Moore's documentary, call it that, documentary on 9/11. This documentary plays a key role in left-wing thinking about 9/11, that the Bush and the Saudis and the CIA, and there was all kinds of, the Bush family's connections with the Saudis are the reason for 9/11. I mean, that's the kind of the thesis of this. And what's fascinating about this that nobody Where's my cursor? I seem to have lost it. What nobody picks up on about this, hold on one second. My cursor has gone to another computer that it's linked to. All right, it's back. Good news. This film, and this is something I'll get into more in another episode, is if you look at Fahrenheit 9/11, here's its Wikipedia page. Who is the executive producer of Fahrenheit 9/11? Well, you have Harvey Weinstein, the disgraced DNC mega donor and media mogul, who are listed as producers, and that's true. But what's fascinating is they don't list who the executive producer is. This is a lie by omission, and that's something that Mark Kulak has pointed out. Is that's one of the ways that media lies and Wikipedia lies, in fact, is through omission. Now, there's a key figure who is missing here, and this is all going to tie back together. Her name is, I don't even know, it's a French name, I don't know how to say it, Agnes Mentre, I don't know how you say that. This lady, Agnes Mentre, is in fact the executive producer of Fahrenheit 9/11, as you can see on her IMDb page. That's who she is. Very curious that she is left off. Like, I'm going to show you. Agnes. You cannot find Agnes. There is no Agnes on this page. The producers are listed except for the most important producer, the executive producer. That is fascinating. Now, why might they leave her off? Well, Agnes Mentre, I'll show you. Oh, Agnes Mentre, whatever, I'm sorry for butchering her name, is a former Lazard Frères banker. She was an executive for one of the most important financial institutions of the last, I don't know, century and a half, or almost 2 centuries. One that doesn't get talked about much. How influential is Lazard? Well, to this day, let's see, what is Lazard doing? Here's an example. Here's just something I came across. Lazard's sovereign advisory team has been deeply involved in the latest wave of sovereign debt restructurings. Over the past 5 years, Lazard has acted as the sole financial advisor to most countries facing debt distress. Argentina, Ecuador, Lebanon, Suriname, Zambia, Ethiopia, Ghana, and Sri Lanka. This one financial behemoth is the sole financial advisor to several countries. And there are others that are not listed here. Lebanon, do you think that has something to do with, the war in the U.S.-Israeli war on Lebanon and the client regime that it has in power? But nobody talks about that. Now, the current CEO, this is all going to tie together. The current CEO of Lazard is this guy, Peter Orszag. I don't know if that's how you say his name, Orszag, whatever. Peter Orszag is the CEO, current CEO of Lazard. He was the Obama administration's director of the Office of Management. Let's see, let's make sure I get this right. White House Office of Management and Budget. Yes. That is not what we want. That is also not what we want. Oh, wow. All right, hold tight. We got some technical difficulties. Chrome crashed. So we just got to reopen. Thanks for sticking with me, bearing with me. Okay, hold on, hold tight. Let's see if we can get this running again. All kinds of stuff playing. I have too many windows open. Okay. There we go. Peter Orszag was working in the White House. He was the head of the Congressional Budget Office, and then he was the head of the Office of Management and Budget in the Obama administration for a period. And, well, let's listen to how he got that position.
So at the time, I was serving as the head of the Congressional Budget Office, and there had been some very kind of light touch inquiries from various people, but I didn't think, given that the CBO was nonpartisan, that it was really appropriate to engage in any serious discussions. At some point around the election, Rahm Emanuel, who was going to become chief of staff, called me up and said, like, you can't sit on the sidelines. You have to, you have to participate. I'm like,
Rahm Emanuel. You hear that? Rahm Emanuel called this guy. He was going to be Obama's chief of staff. Called this very important guy and said, we want you to be part of the administration.
I'm running the Congressional Budget Office. I'm not sitting on the sidelines, but
just running the Congressional Budget Office. That's all.
There was clearly, I think, it was a moment in time when serving in administration seemed like it was absolutely the right thing to do. And so there were a variety of kind of toing and froing. It seemed like it was a done deal, but not clear which position. And then, they were obviously trying to figure out who goes into what slots.
Okay, so that so there you go. Rahm Emanuel convinced this guy Peter Orszag to be the White House budget director, and Peter Orszag today is the CEO of Lazard. Okay, this behemoth financial institution that is controlling Argentina and Lebanon and a whole bunch of other countries, and of course has tremendous influence in the United States. And who a former, as I showed before, a former Lazard executive is the executive producer, and she's also the wife of the former CEO of Lazard, was the executive producer of Fahrenheit 9/11, something that is covered up, that is not visible on Wikipedia's Fahrenheit 9/11's Wikipedia page. What are the other ties? Check out this tie. I mean, these are just very broad brushstrokes so people kind of understand how extensive and what a uniparty we have. We have the banking party. That's pretty much it. Bankers run the show. And this is how you can see it. So here is a CEO, I guess then the CEO of Lazard Asset Management, LLC, appearing at a summit. I think this is earlier this year. This is in February of 2025. So another big Lazard official appearing on a panel with Omid Malik, co-founder and president of 1789 Capital. I'll just go over here and show you what 1789 Capital is. Funding the next chapter of American exceptionalism. That's what 1789 Capital is funding. Let's see if we can get somewhere. Team Omid Malik. Oh, Donald Trump Jr. is a partner there. Hey, that seems like it's just one party with Rebecca Mercer too. Let's see if we can figure out what do they invest in. I don't know. For some reason it's not appearing. I'll just show you. There it is. Tucker Carlson's media company secures investment led by new anti-woke firm 1789 Capital. So you see, these are just all people rubbing elbows together. They're all swimming in the same tank together, pretending that they are two different sides who are opposing each other. And this one is anti-woke, you know? And Tucker Carlson is very anti-woke, and he's a conservative. He's a real conservative. So my point is, this might be a bit circuitous how I'm explaining it, but the point is, I mean, I've been researching Lazard a lot, you know, for the past couple of days, but you get a sense of what I'm saying, I think. Here's oh man, okay, where am I going with this? Here's Jamel Hill on, actually, you know what, before I show this, actually, no, I'll just show it. Here we are. Jamel Hill, who is a sports commentator, says that the UFC freedom felt like it wasn't meant for all Americans. Man, that is, I'm sorry, she looks scary. That's like a female version of Donald Trump.
Present the best of America. What about this represented the best of America?
That looks crazy. That's extremely
You
crazy.
have someone, as you just played the video of Josh Hokett, who says something disgusting about a former first lady.
Precisely for outrage. That's the whole thing. When that fighter called Michelle Obama a man, that was obviously for maximum outrage, to stimulate that disgust. Now, Jamel Hill, who is she represented by? Who do you think? Take a wild guess. Well, look at that. Jamel Hill signs with WME, Ari Emanuel's group. So her boss, or the agency that represents her, is putting on this whole thing, and she's denouncing it. See how the two sides play together? Donald Trump holds this thing, and Ari Emanuel's there. And meanwhile, Ari Emanuel has people like Jamel Hill denouncing this whole event and saying, oh, it's not for all Americans. I don't know if they're subtle accusations of racism there. The same way that last week in game 3, I think, of the NBA Finals, when the Knicks lost and Donald Trump went, and Stephen A. Smith, also a sportscaster, was talking about how terrible it was that Trump was there and he shouldn't be there and he's not welcome and he's actually the reason that they lost. And Stephen A. Smith is also a client of Ari Emanuel. Same with Max Kellerman. He denounced Trump for going, also a client of Ari Emanuel. Now, as I'm showing, you cannot reduce this simply to just Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel, like I said, is just he's being directed by something much bigger, something more powerful.
And this is somebody who has a history of that. So is this guy supposed to represent me as an American?
Okay, so these are these hyper-partisan fake lines that they're drawing. We already showed that. Okay. Now, what I want to do is actually show, all right, hold on. Let's see if I can pull this thing up. I already had it. Yep. Okay. I want to go through, I hope I have enough time, but I want to go through the footage that I shot so you can, get a sense of actually who was at this thing. Who were some of the people that went to this UFC event? Because according to Jamel Hill, it was all hardcore Trumpers and Republicans who say that she's not an American and it's not an inclusive event. But according to, I don't know, what you see on social media, it's just a total, it's patriotic fest of everyone who loves Trump, and You know, it was a smashing success for Donald Trump. So what is reality here? Well, that's what I went to check out, and I've just spliced together about 22 minutes of footage. I'm not going to be able to show all of it. I don't have enough time for that, but I'm just going to kind of, I don't know, show you some broad strokes here. So this is I was kind of posted up around here on Constitution Ave, and you can just see these are the people that are sort of slowly pouring in. This is probably about 6 o'clock. Just regular looking people. I don't see like white supremacists. I don't know. How's it going? Hey, have fun.
Thank you.
Do those girls look like, you know, do those young women look like hardcore Trump voters who just, you know, want to kill Jamel Hill? I don't think so. How's it going, guys? Who you got tonight?
Shama! That's who we got, Shama!
All right. What's up, fellas? Who you got tonight? Who you got? So people are just excited about the fight. They're just pretty much average people.
My heart says Gaethje, but Elia, Wallace says Elia.
Okay.
And
I don't know who any of these people are. Like, I don't know. I don't watch UFC, so I don't know who the fighters are. My interest is just going to see if, does anyone here know who Ari Emanuel is?
Chama all the way. Chama got to. He's rooting for Derek. He bulked up a lot. Yeah, Derek too. I hate John.
Are you guys more UFC? Or are you more Trump? Or are you both? Both?
Look at this. Look at this. He did this.
So you have some people that are pro UFC, some people that are pro Trump, and some people that are both. You Ari Emanuel? You down with Ari Emanuel? Rahm Emanuel? More for UFC or more for... So, you know, most people had no idea. So I'm asking this couple. UFC, Trump, both? Trump or both?
No, more for UFC.
We're just UFC.
You don't care about it? You're not, I don't see like MAGA hats on and stuff.
Nah, I mean, we're strictly UFC fans.
Got you. Are you pro Trump, or are you just here for the UFC fight, or both, or where do you lie in that spectrum, I guess?
That's my boss, so I'm pro both.
Okay, so this guy in some way works for, I guess, the federal government. I don't know. So, you know, it's probably a smart thing for him to say. Both pro UFC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pro America. So as long as it's America first, I'm there.
Are you UFC fan? Are you a Trump fan, or both?
UFC fan.
You're not a Trump. So you're more UFC fan. You're not into Trump. Not into
Politics. You're for entertainment, sir.
Got it. See, now that guy doesn't exist according to either side. No, neither the pro-Trump or the anti-Trump side will just show there's people who just went to go see the fight and they don't really care about politics. And what I see is that's pretty much a majority of the people who went. Appreciate it, man. What's up, guys? Who you got tonight?
Corey all day. Yeah, let's go.
What about Ari Emanuel? The owner of the UFC. His brother worked for the Clintons. It's all just one big show. Who you got tonight?
Ilya Taporia.
All right.
Cyril Gahn, Sean O'Malley. Or no, Alex Pereira.
How about you? What about Ari Emanuel? You know who Ari Emanuel is?
I don't think so. You know the point sometimes.
So, like, again, people don't really know, and I don't expect them to know, but people are being played against each other. That's what's so infuriating about this. Here are a couple of Australian guys I met, and here's just what they had to say.
You just got to enjoy sport, not even worry about politics.
Politics and sports should just be not.
Yeah, just enjoy the sport, man, and let's go. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I like it. I like your attitude.
So last night, Australia meant to lose. We beat Turkey 2-0. So
There you go. Enjoy, guys. You here for more like UFC or more Trump or kind of both?
UFC.
You're not Trump guys.
Yeah, I like Trump. I mean, I don't love Trump.
You're cool on Trump.
I don't know. I mean, he's the president, you know. I mean,
Have you cooled down on Trump?
yeah, I guess.
So doesn't that tell you a lot that, I mean, you know, I don't know these two guys in particular, but I think they represent a certain demographic of probably guys that may have been pretty excited about the Trump presidency and even the second Trump presidency, and now we're just kind of disaffected and don't care and just want to go see a fight.
I don't even care, honestly.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I feel it's neither.
I just don't want to worry about it. I don't want to think politically.
A UFC guy, or are you more of a Trump guy, or both?
I like both.
Yeah. I don't know who that guy is, but watch as this guy like whisks him away. All right.
Did he just say Michael Chandler 1.5 rounds?
Oh, all right. Am I talking to someone famous there?
Did he just say?
How you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? All right.
All good. What's the feeling today?
So it's excitement, man. It's excitement. Little heat, but a lot of people out here. It's a lot of fun.
All right, you're not sweating too much in there. You
Not
look
too
comfy.
bad. Yeah, that's why I went with the shorts version.
Where'd you come from?
Joplin, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you more pro like UFC or Trump or both?
Probably more UFC, more America, really.
America first.
America first, but
Do you feel like this is an America first agenda?
I don't get too much into it, to be honest with you. I'm just here to celebrate 250, excited about it, excited about the people, excited about the diversity that's here, and showing her what DC is all about.
Awesome,
man.
Enjoy it. Take care.
Trump.
So, like, you see, most of these people don't feel too strongly one way or the other. There's obviously not a lot of, like, liberals here. Not many, but who are going to see the fight. But, like, it's not, the way that it's portrayed by the Jamel Hills of the world is that these are just a bunch of, like, pro-Trump lunatics, and they're actually making Trump appear, the Trump phenomenon appear stronger than it is. And it's just not that strong. That's why they need the UFC. They need Ari Emanuel to draw a crowd for these massive spectacle sites. Trump can't really do it on his own anymore. I mean, he's the president, but the game is kind of running out. I mean, Trump was, scripted to rise, and he's scripted to fall. And now they're just in this period where he's, at least for the time, pretty well discredited. I don't know what his approval ratings are, but I don't think they're great. Gas is expensive, and people just don't feel strongly about him one way or the other. At least what you might assume, or what the media would tell us, is his base. Take care.
Trump.
And look how polite everyone was. Look how nice that guy was. But, if he was on the cover of the New York Times, they'd say he's just some, like, crazy, like, Trump redneck. But he's a super nice guy who wants to show his daughter the diversity of Washington, D.C. And he loves America. I like that guy. And he was really nice to me. This guy, however, this was hilarious. Here you have a protester.
His name on the memorial for
who came from the Kennedy Center.
The Kennedy Center. And the courts told him he had to chisel it off, and he just did yesterday. And back in the day, two vice presidents candidates were on the stage, and the Democrats said, "I knew Jack Kennedy, sir, and you're no Jack Kennedy," because they'd been saying he was like Jack Kennedy. So it's a real put down. It's for, especially for us old enough people to remember that. It was like, that was the end of his campaign. So.
You know who Ari Emanuel is?
No.
Ari Emanuel?
Sounds familiar, but not really, no.
Ari Emanuel is the CEO of TKO Holdings, which owns the UFC.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And the WWE and
all that, yeah.
He's the biggest agent in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
He was Trump's agent before.
Yeah.
And his brother is Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Of course. You know who Rahm Emanuel is?
Rahm is, yeah.
What? Okay. So
it's a trip.
You can just see his mind like, whoa, that's crazy. I never. Exactly, and that's sort of the very, very tip of the iceberg. Their other brother is Ezekiel Emanuel, who also advised Trump and was also in the.
It's interesting.
Obama administration.
But so is this some conspiracy thing or what?
You can call it conspiracy. You can call it whatever you want. I mean, my point is that there's clearly overlap between the Trump world and the Democratic establishment. No, you don't want to hear that. And he walks away. But you didn't even know what I said, and you just disregarded the information like it's inconvenient. Is that amazing? Let me just go back a little bit. Look at that face. That is not a happy face. That's, I don't want to hear this information. There's like a cognitive dissonance. And the only way he could handle that cognitive dissonance, that the separation of these two parties is not so nice and neat, and actually it's just, one big show. The only way he could handle that is to just walk away. And you saw a few seconds before, when I explained who Ari Emanuel is, he was like, really? Wow, hey, that's interesting. This is someone who is not merely captured, but is captivated, cannot, will not, doesn't want to escape. That's like you open the bars of the prison and he wants to stay there. He doesn't want to get out. He doesn't want to taste freedom. He likes living as a slave. That's this guy. The Trump world and the Democratic establishment. No, you don't want to hear that. And he walks away. But you didn't even know what I said, and you just disregarded the information like it's inconvenient. Oh, actually, one part that's kind of interesting here, if I can back up a little bit. Oh man, I lost my cursor again. That drives me crazy. I gotta turn that off. This guy on the right, right above my head here, is this guy right here is a European journalist, and he was curious what the interaction was about, and I think he was recording it at one point. And when I just explained to him that the connection between the Emanuel family and Trump, he was just like, "Oh no, I don't agree with you." And so this is a perfect example of how the mass media works. He's like, yeah, I understand, but no. His job is to go out there and pretend to be doing journalism in order to reinforce the existing narratives that this other guy who just walked away will then consume. Except he's doing it, this guy on the right is doing it for a European audience. Can you tell me your costume is about? Your baby Donald Trump in a diaper, too fat to get in. Tell me, what's the meaning of this?
Well, this is Flag Day. It's supposed to be a day about America, about American history, about the pride of being American. And this is not a personal event. It's not to be sponsored by corporations. It's not to use public property that belongs to the people for a private event. And if I were actually Donald Trump by his criteria, I would be too fat to get in. So this is really about American people. This does not belong in the White House, and somebody just needs to say so. My husband started out as a Republican, okay, but with the advent of Donald Trump, he switched over to my side. And
so her husband is a never Trump Republican, okay, who voted Democrat.
Because, again, this is something that's about America's future. It's not about one person. This is not, again, no kings, no Roman emperors, and this isn't the gladiator games.
There's a small percent, or I don't know, there's, something to be said for what she's saying, that there's something legitimate there, that just selling the White House for some corporate event is pretty insane, and this is not a public event. Privatizing it in that way is completely insane, but she can't go all the way. Her whole thing is just, Trump is bad.
Foundation, the Trump family.
So this is what I asked her. I cut my question just for brevity, but I asked her, what do you think about his ties with Ari Emanuel? And her thing's, oh, it's just corruption.
Are making money off this. Ari Emanuel is basically just ingratiating himself to Donald Trump. There's nothing to be said about that. He just, again...
There's nothing to be said about that. That's an incredible statement. So she's part of... I mean, she's part of this theater in costume. In a costume, an inflatable costume of Donald Trump dressed as a baby. That is how sophomoric the Democratic Party has become. They could have a real critique, but it's all just one big show. This is part of the show.
The whole group needs to just go, and whatever political party they are, the whole group needs to go.
There's so much overlap that it's impossible to distinguish really between, unless you, without strict ideological lines.
I shouldn't have even said without strict ideological lines. That you just can't. If you actually look at this objectively, the overlap, like I've showed, is just too much.
That's always true. I think what's changed, though, with the Trump administration is actually the degree of which personal graft and engagement in public office for your own personal gains. That's always existed, but this is now public. It's no longer even like behind the scenes anymore.
That's our big complaint, is that it's like corrupt, and more corrupt than it used to be, even though it was always corrupt.
Thing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you know the UFC fighters are being paid their bonuses in cryptocurrency owned by the Trump family. That was released by The Guardian yesterday.
Okay. So, all right. Do you want to say your name?
Dawn, D-W-N. The last name is Brooks, B-R-O-O-K-S.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy
Take care.
your time.
So you can see more just kind of average people, regular people, going to see the UFC fight. Because there's a lot of Americans, apparently, who like UFC. I'm not one of them, but that's me.
How you doing? How you doing? Who you got tonight?
Ferreira.
All right.
Ferreira.
All right.
All right.
You're here for the fight and for Trump, huh?
Sean O'Malley. Yeah.
You're here for Trump too. I'm finding a bunch of people who are like, oh, I'm just here for the fighting.
No, I'm here for the White House and Donald Trump.
All right, you want to walk? I'll walk with you. All right. What's your?
I love Donald Trump.
You love Donald Trump?
I always have.
Well, where y'all from?
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio, and I thought she said Cleveland.
Ohio.
Dayton.
What do you love about Donald Trump?
He's just a cool man. He's put on a UFC. I love everything about him, actually. YouTube channel.
You think the agenda today is the real America First agenda?
Look around. Yeah. Why not? Well, it's his birthday.
This is it.
Celebrating America's birthday. What else would we be doing, right? We also would have just come to the White House. We've never been here.
All right, this is your first time in D.C.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I live here.
And we're into UFC fights, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you follow politics much, or is that kind of just?
Yeah, I'm a strict Republican.
You're a strict Republican.
My family is, dad was Marines, and uncle and grandpas were Navy. I grew up like that.
Let me ask you this: do you know who Ari Emanuel is?
Yeah.
The CEO of, he's the owner of the UFC, right?
Yeah. Paramount.
What's that?
You don't mean Dana White.
No, Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel is he's the CEO of TKO Holdings, which owns the UFC. Dana White is like I don't know what exactly, I can't remember his position exactly.
Dana White is the CEO of the UFC. Ari Emanuel is the CEO of TKO Holdings, which owns the UFC. So, there.
I'm staying with you. I'm ready. I'm going. Anyway, Ari Emanuel is Dana White's boss.
That's correct.
Ari Emanuel's brother is Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel is a huge Democratic operative. He was Clinton's White House chief of staff.
Obama's White House chief of staff. Top advisor to Clinton too. Just clarification.
And top Obama advisor too. You see the contradiction?
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Yeah. There's Republicans, there's Democrats, there's everybody in the middle.
Do you ever worry that America is being, I love America too. Do you ever worry that America is being played by a bunch of elites who don't give a shit about you?
I used to, but not now. By Biden, yeah.
You don't feel that way with Trump?
No.
So she's a strict Republican, comes from a family of strict Republicans, and she loves Donald Trump and would never have anything to do with a Democrat. Those are my words, not hers. But she said strict Republican, and she doesn't care that this is basically a DNC event.
Even though dirty Democrats like Ari Emanuel
and she felt that way with Biden. She felt that way. Biden was really bad, but Trump, hey, look at this.
Emanuel, and he's in New York City real estate mogul.
Are you a Trump hater?
I don't believe in any of them. I think they're all one big shit show to make us hate each other. Think about how many people hate each other over Trump or whatever. That's my position, is that it's destroying America. Take care.
And that's it. That's it. So you can see the lady I talked to before, the last two people I talked to before who are Democrats, they're like, you know, the inverse of these people who are just Republicans, identify as Republicans, and don't care that Republicans are in bed with Democrats. No one cares. And there's our lady. There's too fat to get in. This was an amazing moment. This was a fascinating moment. This is, I mean, obviously this is not scripted, but I was going to look at this Democrat guy who's got his sign, his protest sign, and this guy walks up and starts talking to him, and I just caught it on camera.
It's nothing bad. I'm just curious, as far as like somebody that doesn't support Trump and somebody that did, do you ever believe that there could be a good communication to where it's not like what social media always posts, where it's just like anger, hatred, and just like toxicity? Do you ever think that there could be good like civil debate and conversation?
If somebody's trying to murder you, it's pretty hard to have a civil conversation with the guy who's trying to stab you.
Well, I'm not trying to kill you or anything. I was just asking.
But Donald Trump is.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, as
this guy thinks Donald Trump is trying to kill him, which is, you know, why he's out protesting with a sign.
People, because you and I have probably more in common than any politician, far left, far right. So I was just more curious, as far as that goes, like just good conversation and actually getting me to get onto your side versus like anger and all that stuff. Like, do you think we need more of that, or do you think we need more of like, no, you're wrong, fuck you, you're a piece of shit?
Unfortunately, we need fuck you, you're a piece of shit to bring the Republicans back to the side of decency and having conversations. They never want to talk about anything. You're trying to deny people their basic rights, you can't talk to them.
Yeah, I see that. Do you think you get anywhere with trying to get your ideas through by telling them they're a piece of shit, or just like genuine conversation?
Yeah, that's how they operate. They don't worry about logic or reason. They don't worry about humanity or empathy. Everything to them is about ego. So if you break their egos, that's how you get them to start questioning themselves.
You're just saying you're encompassing all Trump supporters in one umbrella.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had like genuine conversations with anyone that has a different ideology than you?
Anytime I try to, they start screaming over you.
Just being a piece of shit.
Yeah. As soon as you try to ask them one question, they go and they ask you another question. You answer their question, then you try to ask a question in return, they just jump to another question again.
Yeah, 100%.
Back and forth.
So you hate Trump. I like him. But I think that you and me, we'd be able to have, I'm not going to do it now, but I think we'd be able to have a really good Discord, because I think you and I are very similar. Like, dude, just don't be a piece of shit. Let's go and, like, voice our opinions and see where we can kind of go from there. Because I bet you and I probably agree on a lot more manners than, like, the far right and far left. I think you and I would actually be pretty good at it.
Probably not if you support Trump in any capacity.
Okay. You know, yeah, I can see why you would think that, though.
It's not really why I would think it. It's why any sane person would.
You see how conciliatory this young, like, Trump supporter guy is being? How much more open his mind is? How he can sense that, like, the division in this country, even if he doesn't know where it's coming from, that it's actually bad, that America is being turned against itself by our ruling class. He has this intuition. He can feel it. And then this older, you know, middle-aged Democrat is just like pompous and says that Donald Trump is trying to kill him, and says that the only way that you can get Republicans to talk is by cursing them out. Do you see what's going on here?
He's a pedophile who's trying to cover up evidence of why he's a pedophile. If anybody at all supports him in any capacity to any degree after that,
And there's the Epstein mythology.
they're a fucking subject.
So what would you say about the Epstein files not being released during the entire Biden?
And see, they're both on the Epstein files propaganda, this whole like phony scandal that's where the proof of all the pedophilia is and everyone that's involved in it, and that's the show.
I would say Biden's just as much to blame. I'll thread the noose that we used to hang Biden with. I'm not pumping your fist. You're going to say that about Biden, but you still can't admit it about
No, I
Trump?
agree. No, I'm not
So
saying
then what
yeah.
about him do you support?
Honestly, I like the ideas of what he's been doing as far as like
invading other countries, fucking up the economy.
Yeah. No, not really. I don't agree.
So what
100%
thing
not.
would there be?
I think he's funny.
Oh, that's it. That's a good reason to vote for somebody to rule the nation, right?
Which is sophomoric, of course.
No, but like as far as like so then like what I agree with are some of like his I guess I'm very negligent in it. So maybe like that's a very good like discourse. Maybe I don't know why I like it.
Yeah. That's pretty much his whole fan base. They don't know anything about policy. They don't know anything about economics or geopolitics. So they listen to his words and his tone.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do either of you know who Ari Emanuel is? Do you know who Ari Emanuel is?
Maybe heard of the name.
Okay. Ari Emanuel is a longtime. He is the owner of the UFC.
Oh, okay.
The
Oh,
event
yeah,
tonight.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
The CEO of TKO Holdings and the
And the
WME Group.
whatever brothers.
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
one of 3 Emanuel brothers.
Okay.
Do you know any other famous Emanuel brothers? Rahm Emanuel, who worked in the Clinton and Obama White House. So you have Donald Trump, who was created in basically who
I'm not explaining myself exceptionally well here.
his image was created in mass media, owned by people like Ari Emanuel and like top Democrats collaborating with Donald Trump in the lead up to 2016 and ever since. Do you think that overlap is significant in terms of not much difference between the Democrat and Republican parties?
Depends on which rich people are spending money. You got the rich people who are spending money who will go side with whoever makes them more money.
See, so he's on the same like idea as the lady in the Trump suit, that it's just about money. It's just about money. Whoever can make money.
What if
that's the cop out?
I told you that Donald Trump is just a DNC operation to turn people like us against each other?
I think that's just politics in a whole, though. Yeah. Well, politics in a whole.
I agree.
Well,
in
'cause, like,
media.
this is why I want to say.
What do you
like,
think? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
No. You don't think?
See, this guy on the left is like, yeah, and he sees it as just the media in general is that way, that the media is trying to turn Americans against each other, and this guy, the Democrat, is like, no.
Not a chance.
I think
You think
him
he-
and I probably have 10 times more in common than any politician. And I think politicians and politics is like designed to make us hate each other. Even though, like, I guarantee you and I probably have a lot more in common, and we want the same things out of life, like more freedom, more liberties, cheaper fucking everything. Like, we don't want to go and spend a bunch of money. So
And wars. And wars. I mean, do Democrats do that? Trump lied about it. Democrats aren't any better. It's almost like they're just one big machine.
Yeah.
I mean, does the power structure really change every 4 years?
No.
Of course
we
not.
voted for better people.
If we voted for better people.
What Democrats actually tried to do, we gave our candidate the boot last time and replaced him with a new one. And we still didn't.
I
vote for
didn't
Kamala
agree with
Harris.
that either, because like she just got placed there. She wasn't even voted for in the primary.
That's why she didn't win.
Do you know who is a huge fan of Kamala Harris, who helped start her career in like the early 2010s?
All right, I got to pull out this book. Kamala Harris and the Rise of Indian Americans this is an amazing book. In the first pages of this book, which is what I reference here, I'm going to explain a bit more. It talks about who is a big fan of Kamala Harris. Let me see if I can just find it. Here we go. Maybe I can even, I got this other camera. Let me see if I can make this thing work. This is going to be enlightening. Let's see if this will work. Can you see that? I think you can. Let's see if I get the right angle here. Just over a decade ago, Jeff Zucker, the then powerful president of CEO and CEO of NBC Universal, did something he confessed he had never done before, hosting a power breakfast at the NBC headquarters at 30 Rockefeller Plaza in Manhattan for the movers and shakers of the East Coast. His guest, an aspiring politician and a rising star who was already a West Coast sensation. Apparently, Zucker, who is currently the president of CNN and who has made and unmade TV stars, I don't know if he's still the president of CNN when this came out, and shaped the public images of politicians and television anchors while presiding over some marquee television programming, had some kind of a sixth sense that the personality he was introducing at this event would be an iconic political figure in the 21st century. I had managed to catch an invitation to attend this power breakfast for Kamala Devi Harris, then San Francisco District Attorney who was running for the post of Attorney General of California in 2010, and who in the first 6 months of 2009 had raised $1.2 million, more than any other Democratic or Republican candidate for the position. I believe Kamala is not just important for the city of San Francisco, the state of California, but for the entire country, Zucker told his surprise guests while throwing in a disclaimer. This is not something that I ever do. This is in fact the first time I have ever done one of these, and that's because I have a very, very strict policy because of my job. I have taken a position that I completely stay out of supporting candidates of any party and try to stay out of politics entirely. It goes on. It goes on. There's another page or so about this, but you know, you can see from this book that, as I'm going to explain to these guys, that Jeff Zucker, the media mogul, was a key participant in the creation of both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris as political figures through mass media. It's just one big show. That's the point.
Was Zucker, the same Jeff Zucker who cast Donald Trump on The Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh wow. So like what you're insinuating are a bunch of ties and like networking with
It's just one big bullshit machine,
yeah.
And people get tripped up in it, you know, depending on the national mood. And
I wouldn't even say the national mood. Maybe I would clarify that. I mean, now that I'm here live and have a little more time, not the national mood, but what the national mood is scripted to be, and it has to correspond with reality to some point in some ways. But you know, whichever one of those is more useful for advancing the narrative, whichever candidate or whichever media creation.
I think, you know, people who are not, who can, I see you as someone as able to admit some faults, and you got tripped up and whatever.
Dude, I'm very naive when it comes to
and
politics.
I don't see that from your counterpart here. It's interesting. So
that was kind of the end of that thing. But you know, I mean, I just think it says everything. You have the kind of young, sort of pro-Trump, maybe pro-Trump guy who's kind of ambivalent and knows that people are being lied to. And then you have the like hardened Democrat who cannot hear anything that runs counter to his belief system. And those were the people protesting that I encountered. Not every liberal I encountered. I did encounter liberals. They were not all like that. Here's one who was not like that.
Hey guys.
How are you?
All right. What you got tonight?
Alex Banana.
All right.
He's gonna be the first 3D champion.
Are you more pro UFC or pro Trump or both?
UFC. Actually, I'm not a Trump guy.
You're what?
I don't have a problem with Trump or anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm just here to watch the UFC.
Oh, okay. All right. And are you pro-Trump or no? No. Are you anti-Trump?
Anti-Trump.
Anti-Trump?
No, I
Indifferent.
don't have a problem. with
Indifferent.
anybody.
Indifferent, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't have the option to vote.
Okay.
So I saw zero representation in any media that there could be someone who is not pro-Trump, who's even anti-Trump, who's going to this thing. And of course, yes, they're a minority, but you can see that what draws people to this is not Trump. Overwhelmingly, it's just UFC. The Trump movement isn't a real thing. It's a media creation.
Do you have mixed feelings between your anti-Trump and your pro-UFC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel coming here?
Just a little bit of both. I'm celebrating America, obviously, the 250 years, and definitely support that. But the part about celebrating Trump's birthday, obviously not as supportive of that.
What is your biggest criticism of
Trump? Probably just the environment that he's created ever since he's been elected, of like just negativity in politics and like making things more unprofessional rather than, I mean, even debates, everything. He's made things, it's a circus now rather than...
Totally, yeah. It's like, you feel like a mockery?
Mockery of it, yes.
Do you think that's limited to the Trump side? Do you feel like it's both sides?
I feel like it's both sides, honestly. More recently, but I feel like when Trump, back in 2016, when Trump took office, I feel like that's when it kind of started.
When like the whole kind of the mockery began. Yeah. That like this guy's president. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody could really believe it. Yeah.
Right.
But we got to get in there, man.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
I'll even walk with you.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know who Ari Emanuel is?
I don't.
Ari Emanuel is the CEO of TKO Holdings, which owns the UFC.
Oh, okay.
He owns the UFC.
Okay, yeah.
Essentially, in a couple words. He is a longtime Democrat, and his brother is Rahm Emanuel, who worked in the Clinton and Obama White Houses. Was a top advisor. He was the mayor of Chicago for 2 terms, et cetera, et cetera. The Emanuel family, Ari Emanuel, is like Democratic royalty.
Really?
He is extremely close with Donald Trump, and has been for a long time.
Okay.
What I'm suggesting to you is it's one big show. It's one big, as you correctly are feeling for the last, almost decade.
Right.
For the last decade, it's just one big mockery.
Yeah.
And it's to turn people against each other.
Exactly.
And you see it at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, I think it's a real. My point is like I'm trying to demonstrate through my work here, my journalism, that's what's going on. My man is looking at me like confused.
No, I'm just curious, because
you're curious.
It is not my language, right? That's why I have to put a lot of attention.
Oh, okay.
That is why I'm very much interested in what you are saying.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from India.
From India.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. What do you like? Do you look much at U.S.-India relations? We can walk. I don't want to take your guys' time. Yeah, sorry. Do you ever look at U.S.-India relations?
Little bit.
Yeah?
Little bit.
How do you feel about India-U.S. relations?
It is pretty much good. My president, Modi and Trump has good relationship. So it is good in between India and USA.
I think a lot of people don't realize how influential India is in a way across the world. It's the biggest population, a lot of young people, economy. Even in the U.S., it's like,
yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
What do you do for work?
So I work somewhere I work at Total Wireless.
You like a what?
I work at Total.
Say it again?
I work as a data analyst at Total.
Oh, okay.
I can't even understand. I couldn't understand what he's saying. What company? I think he felt like he shouldn't say it, and then he did say it, but I couldn't even understand what the company is or the organization that he works for.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you guys. My name's.
So that's the end of it. So that's the end of the video that I kind of spliced up, put together. But I think I pretty clearly demonstrated that there's a pretty broad variety of people who come to that kind of event. And it is, the Trump phenomenon is not strong. The illusion is weak. A lot of people are open to hearing that it is an illusion and that we are being played against each other by the mass media, by the uniparty, by the banker class that directs the media, by the Lazards of the world. And you know, when you have the Jamel Hills and MSNBC and you know, this media empire controlled by Ari Emanuel and the WME group, on one hand telling people that it's all crazy Trump, you know, fanatics at the White House, and you have like clowns going on you know, saying Michelle Obama is a man, and these kinds of things, then it just reinforces it. So so the thing is, you know, people have to understand this, and we need more journalism doing these kinds of things. And I believe that I'm providing a public service by doing this, by showing like what's actually going on here. There's more I really want to get to that I don't really have enough time for. Let me see if I can just dive in a little bit. Okay, just quickly.
And don't worry.
I'm going to talk about this guy. So I've been on, you know, an Ari Emanuel kick lately, I guess you could say, because he's, you know, such a good way to see into, you know, see through this massive fraud. I don't know if there's like my cat. Yeah, my cat is trying to get in. Okay, that's what that distracting sound is. So we have this guy Ian Carroll, who I guess he's a big social media influencer who appeared in the last couple of years, and he's supposed to be like a conspiracy theorist. And he, first of all, his just look this Twitter post from some comedian named Leonarda Joni, who just appeared, I don't know out of where, and she says, "Oh, it's all Jews. I guess Theo Von isn't crazy." So she's just an idiot. She's just a complete retard. I'm fine with using the R word. Sorry if that offends anybody. She's just an idiot. And she makes sure to put Jews with a small lowercase j, because that just offends us so much. It's just stupid identity politics. And I guess Theo Von isn't crazy. I don't know. Theo Von must have said something about Jews or something. Theo Von, who was hanging out with Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, you know, he's not connected in any way. Theo Von, who's a client of Ari Emanuel. Do you see how stupid this show is? So, this video is from 2024 that Ian Carroll did, where I'm not going to show the whole thing just because basically I don't have time. But, yeah, this guy. All right. So just watch for a second. Guess who owns the UFC? So he's going to talk about Ari Emanuel.
Ever wondered who owns the UFC? You better buckle up for this. I'm just going to read very mainstream sources, and I'm going to let you fill in the blanks. And don't worry, it won't be hard to do. So in case we're not clear, we're talking about the UFC, the biggest mixed martial arts fighting promotion in the world. They're owned by TKO Group Holdings, which is owned by Endeavor Group Holdings. And the CEO of TKO Group is Ari Emanuel. And he is also the CEO of Endeavor, the bigger company, along with Patrick Whitesell, the executive chairman. But I guess his name is probably pronounced Ari Emanuel.
Think about, for one thing, I'm live talking about this. Ian Carroll has to go through multiple takes and cut up the very best parts in order to get this. Because he's a fraud.
Because it's Jewish, not Mexican. His father, Jerusalem-born Benjamin Emanuel, was a pediatrician who was in the Irgun, a Zionist paramilitary group that operated in Mandatory Palestine during the 30s and 40s. And just to clarify, paramilitary group means terrorist organization. And just to clarify, that is not my definition or Hamas's definition or Palestinians' definitions. That is literally the Israeli government's definition. In 1948, they outlawed the Irgun and Lehigh.
So you can see he's strongly emphasizing the Israel Zionist Irgun angle, which, yes, the father of the three Emanuel brothers was a member of the Irgun. Yes, that's true. The Zionist militia, terrorist group, pre-state that integrated into the Israeli army when it was created.
Groups,
but he is emphasizing it,
declaring them terrorist organizations. Basically, everyone inside and outside of Jewish worlds called them terrorists and strongly condemned them. Here's a list of the bombings that they were responsible for. So anyways, his dad was a Zionist terrorist.
So he spent about a minute talking about that. Okay.
From back when Israel was being formed. And now he runs the UFC. Well, he owns the UFC. Dana White runs it. But that is just the start of this. Because he has two brothers. This one was Obama's White House chief of staff after years in senior positions in the Clinton administration. But there's another one. This one works at the Center for American Progress, the Wharton School, Harvard, and the NIH. But don't worry, the deep state is not real. Oh yeah, and President Joe Biden named him one of the 16 members of the COVID-19 advisory board. All three of those guys, their dad was an Israeli terrorist that even the Israeli government outlawed because their terrorist acts were...
We're back to the Zionist terrorist thing, okay?
So fucked up. Like bombing civilians. Literally. But wait! There's more! Because both Ari and his buddy Patrick, who are in charge of that other whole organization in charge of the UFC, they are also both in charge of IMG. They are co-CEOs. IMG is like a sports and media company. They have a whole entertainment and modeling division, including Miss Teen USA, Miss Universe. What does that remind me of? Yeah, you remember Epstein's pimp, Jean-Luc Brunel, who hung himself right before Epstein was all coming out? He allegedly procured more than 1,000 women and girls for Epstein. One of IMG's top representatives described him as a coked-out misogynistic pig from day one. Whew. Thank goodness. I'm glad that IMG is not involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, except for this article where a bunch of survivors told their stories, and this one said that she worked for IMG. She told IMG what he was doing to her over in France or wherever she was, and IMG was like, oh, that's cool, whatever, no problem. And then they continued to send girls to him. Yeah, so IMG worked with him. And IMG doesn't just do modeling. No. Here is all the sports.
Have you noticed how he basically glossed over the DNC ties? Like that was about, I don't know, a 5-second mention that Rahm Emanuel worked in the Clinton and Obama White House. And the majority of the time he's talking about Israel and the Irgun and Jeffrey Epstein and IMG.
Leagues and events that they work with. There's the UFC. They do modeling, consulting, events, like the Premier League, the highest level of English football, like the PGA of America, like the United States Tennis Association. They've got figure skating. They got motorsports. Shit, they've even got the world's strongest man in the U.S. Open of surfing. Are you getting the picture yet? These three brothers, whose dad was a Zionist terrorist, have been top dogs at the Clinton White House, the Obama White House, the Biden COVID response. They control the UFC, a huge amount of the modeling industry, a huge amount of the tennis.
And they don't say anything about, their ties to Donald Trump, the candidate that he was supporting, that Ian Carroll was supporting. He was at the stupid Maha rally. I saw him there. I went to cover it, and he was there shilling for the fraud RFK Jr. who fired Jonathan Cooey when Jonathan Cooey realized that Lab Leak is a farce. who's mentioned in this book by RFK about the Wuhan, the lab leak, as the top researcher without whom in the acknowledgments, Cooey is listed without whom as the first and foremost person without whom the book would not have been possible. And then Cooey figured out that it was nonsense, that it was just biologically impossible, that pandemics are biologically impossible, and RFK fired him. That's who Ian Carroll was there to support, the national security narrative. With, Steve Kirsch and Jimmy Dore and Tulsi Gabbard. But he doesn't mention Donald Trump's ties. He just wants to make it like Zionism or Jews or Israel or whatever, some combination thereof.
Golf, all sorts of sports, soccer, rugby. There are quite literal ties to Epstein. And don't get me wrong, I love MMA. I love watching the UFC. But just think about culture. Think about gladiators. Think about Rome. Think about all the other industries we've recently learned have weird ties to sexual blackmail rings. Think about modeling. Think about how young boys and girls grow up in America. And if you're on TikTok, think about downloading this video.
What does that even mean?
Right now, because it's not going to last very long.
Okay, so his thesis here, Ian Carroll's thesis about the Emanuel brothers is that they are part of a Zionist or Jewish conspiracy to run a pedophile ring with the Clintons and Obama and Democrats. So nothing about connections to the Trump machine, the Trump theater that he was in support of, and nothing about, the DNC's, what the DNC actually is, about its ties to banking institutions, or Ari Emanuel's ties to the Emanuel brothers' ties to these elite institutions. He wants to misdirect you, appearing as the conspiracy guy who appeared on Twitter just out of nowhere because he was just so good. Because Twitter is just out of the control of the banker class. Elon Musk gave us free speech, right? Those are the assumptions that Ian Carroll wants you to believe. That's why he has, how many followers does he have? 1.5 million? That's why he was scripted to respond to Elon Musk. If I can get my cursor working here. Okay, now check this out. It gets even more hilarious. Leonardo Joni tags Theo Vaughn, the, represented by Ari Emanuel's WME group. Nobody notices that somehow. And Ian Carroll says, with his, 1.4 million followers, says, I might not be going on Joe Rogan's show anytime soon, but someone had to say it. The Emanuel family is clearly a problem. I'm sure their dad didn't instill any radical values in his boys. Might not be going on the Joe Rogan show anytime soon. Whoa, whoops, look who's on the Joe Rogan show. It's Ian Carroll. Who represents Joe Rogan? Ari Emanuel represents Joe Rogan. Ari Emanuel is Joe Rogan's boss. What do you want to bet that Ari Emanuel is also Ian Carroll's boss? The Ari Emanuel media machine created Ian Carroll, the podcaster conspiracy nut. He's a fraud. What this is the Ari Emanuel media machine creating a fake narrative that feels subversive and conspiratorial in order to get people to never look at what's right in front of them. That it's just one big show controlled by the banking elite, by the Lazard CEOs who fund Michael Moore's documentaries, who have long-term relationships with Harvey Weinstein and Steve Bannon. It's just one stupid show. What does it say about Candace Owens, who everyone thinks is telling the truth about Charlie Kirk and getting to the bottom of how the frankest cabal is running America, and the Bolsheviks left the Soviet Union and Russia and now are running the show in the United States. These people are all frauds. People who believe in Jesus, they don't wear shirts advertising it. They don't announce it like that. Sorry. These are just media operatives pretending to be someone else. They're just playing characters. One more point I want to make. Okay, this is so revealing. So there was this whole thing with Sean Strickland, who is a UFC fighter, and says that he was banned from the UFC White House event because he criticized Epstein and Israel. And he was escorted out by police, apparently, reportedly arrested, put in a police vehicle in which he filmed a video talking about it and saying he got arrested for like disorderly conduct or something. I tweeted extremely staged and scripted event for maximum visibility on social media to reinforce the national security state's fictional narrative that Israel controls America. UFC and WWE are both owned by Ari Emanuel's TKO Holdings. I was not very, that's not a very biting tweet. My language was not very sharp there. I guess at the beginning, extremely staged and scripted event. But it is for maximum visibility on social media. If you want to, the best way to see this is watch the documentary on Netflix, WWE Unreal. I did an episode about this that I was forced to take off of YouTube. But it shows how they script WWE storylines. And one of the tactics that they use is making things appear like staging events to be captured for social media. So then it looks like it wasn't supposed to be filmed, or somebody just got it with their phone and it goes viral and these kinds of things. Like they didn't want the information to get out, but it's all part of the storyline. It's all part of the theater. And this is the exact same thing that's happening here. That was my point with WWE and UFC are owned by Ari Emanuel, is that this is just WWE, and you can see it if you just watch that documentary. Now, in response to that, I got a lot of all kinds of attacks. So I got attacked. Like there are like hundreds of attacks on me for being a Jew, for being Jewish. Okay. And here's one. A perfectly objective post written by an individual with a very interesting last name representing a particular demographic / nation state. Me being Jewish has nothing to do with my point. Me being American has a lot to do with what I'm saying here. Me being a person who is trying to observe reality has a lot to do with it. This Jew wants you to believe the national security state is pushing propaganda that Israel controls America. Pretty sure you have that backward, bud. How coincidental of you to make this post. People think they're so smart for, a coincidence. Your last name is Cohen. Here's a nice one. Give it a rest. The jig is up. Your Jewish incantations are dried up. And he's grabbing the nose of a Jew there. Okay. Oh, look, a Cohen telling us Israel doesn't own our country. I'm sure the fact that your last name is Cohen has nothing to do with this. So, like, there are tons of these. The noticing intensifies. Silence, Jew. Okay, this one is nice. Like a Jew eating the heart of Uncle Sam. This one from 8 hours ago. Look at the nose on this one from, I guess, Steve Irwin. Here's the thing. Here's Dan Bilzerian for Congress. Shut up, Jew. Okay. Here's how to understand this. I'm not triggered by this, for one thing, because it's just Twitter, but also because I know this is extremely fake. All right? Think about it this way. I don't know what just happened to my stuff there, but think about it this way. Hold on, let me pull this back up. Okay. Ari Emanuel is very close with Elon Musk. You've all seen this picture of Elon Musk. We've all laughed at this picture of Elon Musk. Who is in the picture with him? Ari Emanuel, spraying him with water. It's kind of a strange photo. Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel sprays Tesla CEO Elon Musk on board a yacht this summer. So they are friends. They hang out on yachts together and spray each other shirtless. Ari Emanuel and Elon Musk. Elon Musk ostensibly operates Twitter. Ari Emanuel is an investor. He has a stake in Twitter. Would Ari Emanuel and Elon Musk allow so much anti-Semitism? Would they allow or even script? If you start pointing out that this whole thing is a farce, what happens is you get tons of small, let's see, how many? 314 followers. Who is this guy? Maybe he's real. I have no idea. I have like literally dozens upon dozens upon dozens of accounts attacking me for being a Jew on Ari Emanuel and Elon Musk's platform, which is in partnership with the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League, which is known to gin up anti-Semitism so it can have a pretext for suspending accounts, controlling discourse, for the social engineering processes that are going on X. I think most of this is fake and run by, these are fake accounts, to run by what they call troll farms, by people in India, by entire rooms full of Indians, because that's the country that has the personnel to do this kind of thing. It's not Israel. And to just gin up anti-Semitism, fake anti-Semitism, and make the conversation, shift the conversation to try to trigger me to talk about being a Jew and anti-Semitic attacks, and maybe I should support Israel or be a Zionist or I need Israel or something like that. To just shift the conversation away from what I'm saying. What I'm pointing out, that this is one big theater, one big show. As long as you're talking about Israel, if you love Israel or hate Israel, then that's what they want you to be doing. Oh, Israel controls our country. That's what everyone wants. That's what they want us to think. To think that the United States, or that there's nothing else going on in the world. That little Israel of 7 million people is controlling everything through, the blackmail pedophile ring that Ari Emanuel's client Ian Carroll exposed, and Leonardo Joni and Theo Vaughn are exposing after, they hang out with Jared Kushner. You see how stupid this is? This is all just one theater designed to discredit America as a country. And not America as a country as, maybe Iraqis know it, as an invading and occupying force, but as, a country that's worth saving, worth keeping together. To reverse the American Revolution, that is their goal. That is what Ian Carroll is trying to do. That's what Ari Emanuel is trying to do. Because they are just tools of a banker class, of the Lazards, of the Goldman Sachs of the world. That's it. So, I gotta run. It's been almost 2 hours. I gotta go eat some dinner. So I thank you all for going on this journey with me. It's not always pretty. It's not always easy, and I have extremely limited time. It's a big privilege in my household to be able to disappear for 2 hours to do this, let alone the preparation that goes into this, and there's a lot, and I do it for zero money. I haven't gotten a single super chat or anything, and that's not a complaint. I thank everybody for tuning in. I hope it's enlightening. If you want to support me, it's greatly appreciated. It's not a cheap operation here, and I do it again just because I believe in it. You can go to uncaptured.media, and there are some ways to support me there. So you can go to my Patreon or buy me a coffee, or a few different ways. You can send a check even. I think there's an address there to my P.O. box. So I'm not gonna stop. It doesn't matter if right now I have 17 viewers and 210 views apparently on YouTube, and I'm just not going to stop. I can't do this as much as I would like to because I have to do work to support my family, but I'm freer. I'm more liberated than I've ever been. I'm more uncaptured than I've ever been, as much as that's, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about the name Uncaptured because, I don't know, what's Piers Morgan's show? Unfiltered? There's everything. It's like a podcast name, but it reflects a period that before I had really kind of escaped from that box. So it's Uncaptured Media. This is Uncaptured Media. I'm Dan Cohen, and signing off at 8:20 p.m. Tuesday, June 16th. Thank you very much for joining. Good night.